Hello, guys, and welcome back to the Soul Spiral podcast. I have a friend here with me today. We went to school together and we live very close to each other and we get to spend lots of time together. Her name is Laura Armstrong and she is an Access Bars facilitator and practitioner and also an Access Consciousness facilitator. She's also learning EFT tapping and she is a coach and mentor in all things in life, an animal lover, and an all-round great human being. So thank you for coming on the podcast, Laura.
Thanks for having me.
I'm very excited to have you here. We've had a super beautiful day co-working and spending some time in the sunshine and having lots of giggles and play as usual, and it's felt very playful. So it's fun to take that into the world of the audio music for everyone else to receive.
Are we going to be doing music on
No,
no
musing. I meant like audio musings. The musings.
I was like, oh, well, I'm not prepared for that.
No, well, we could if we wanted to, but maybe that's not this podcast. Maybe another time. So, Laura, I mean, I know a lot about your story, but I'm sure there's little bits and pieces that even I don't know and would love to learn more. But I'd love for you to share what I usually ask everyone is how you have become the human you are sitting here in front of me, and maybe talk us through that journey as to how you've become this amazing version of yourself today.
Awesome. Okay, do you want the long version or the short
whatever
version?
Feels good.
Okay, so for as long as I can remember, I've had like body issues, whether that be something physically happening or how I feel about my body or anything like that. So when I was younger, I stopped eating gluten when I was about 6 apparently, and had intolerances to that. And then as I got older, I started having other physical issues. Like I had these ball things that I would cough up that were like so stinky. I didn't even know.
Wow.
Yeah, I went to a Chinese medicine doctor that my mum took me to when I was younger, and he said there were bits of my lung. I don't know how true that is, but yeah, so there was things like that. And then that caused like, and I still sort of get a bit of like not shortness of breath so much, but just like can't take that big deep breath. Then I had things like when I started working, I was like really working myself like into the ground basically. And I think it was when I was working 2 jobs, but it was about like 80 hours a week or something like that, and 7 days a week. And when I was doing that, I started having this really big pain in my stomach. And not to mention I was partying heaps at this age as well. And I went to the hospital because I was in so much pain and thought it was my appendix. And then I got there and they said it was, so they went to operate on me. Then when I woke up out of the operation, they told me that it wasn't my appendix and they left it in there. But I had a pelvic inflammatory disease. So it's basically just like an inflammation sort of infection in your pelvic area. So they just cleaned all the pus out of there and put me on really strong antibiotics. And they were so strong that I then got all these other intolerances to all this other stuff. So I couldn't eat dairy, which I now don't eat anyway, so it's sort of a blessing in disguise. And I was diagnosed with fructose intolerance, which now I know is something completely different. But at that point, I had to cut out so much stuff out of my diet because fructose is in like onion and garlic and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I remember when we started hanging out more, you were eating less of the onion. You weren't eating onion and garlic and things like that. Yeah,
so I had that for quite some years. I cut out dairy pretty easily. I would have it occasionally in like chocolate and stuff. And then, that's sort of where the health journey started, but it was a bumpy ride. So.
Yeah, because you were suffering with like just being sick almost for like a long period of time, weren't you?
Well, so I feel that I was probably sick since birth, really, if I look back on all the things. But that is when I had dabbled in like going into the healthy sort of looking after myself, or still not doing it at all.
Yeah.
I mean, not at all. Wasn't doing it the whole time, but I had started. So I would go do some things to look after myself, and then I'd go back like partying and eating the foods I wasn't meant to. And it was very up and down, like dramatically.
Yeah.
And then I kept doing that for years and years and years, and really started to identify with being like sick and stuff was always wrong with me. Loved complaining about it, loved being the victim of it.
Yeah.
And then I went to India in 2018 with Kristin. Well, she was there for a part of it. And I got bitten by a dog on the beach. And I had to get rabies shots and tetanus shots. And I'm homeopathically immunized, so I've never had shots before. So got those shots, didn't think anything of it. I was super upset because I didn't want to have any of that stuff in my body, but obviously it's better to be safe than sorry. And
that's just a mosquito flying around my
little insect friend.
Bye, mosquito.
And so didn't think anything of getting those shots. And then all of a sudden I was starting to feel really bad and like couldn't eat my food properly. The thought of food actually was making me feel quite ill, and I kept trying to eat the food. And I was with this woman over there who I'd met over there, who we were hanging out with for a while, and she was really lovely, but she was a psychic, and she was sort of giving me a bit of insight on what she thought was happening with me. And she sort of mentioned that it might be some sort of like eating disorder that I'd like created, I guess, because I'd struggled with that in my past. But I was slightly confused because I hadn't like really starved or thrown up for quite some many years before then. Does that make sense? Yeah. And so I was like, oh, I don't know about that, but like this is all I know right now, so I'm going to go with it. So then I was fixating on that and was really like, oh my gosh, like there's something wrong with me, and just spiraled after that. And so I had that in my head that was what was happening. And if I tried to eat, it just went straight through me, and like my poo was just like liquid basically. It was like fluoro green. It was bizarre. And so my sister was like, you need to come home. Like you can't be okay over there. Like you need to come home. So I came home and went straight to my homeopath, and she said that I probably had a reaction to the shots. Yeah. Which then I was like, oh, okay, great. That's all it is. Fine. But then I had no energy. I was just like a zombie, basically. I didn't probably leave the house for weeks on end, really, and was eating lots of takeaway, and I was eating lots and lots of food because I lost heaps of weight because those last few days I just wasn't eating anything, and I was just trying to get energy in because I was just so depleted. And yes, I started eating all this food, and I was just couch potatoing the whole time, but I had heaps of time and a fair bit of money, which was good, so I could like really invest in my health. So when I got home, I like partied a little bit still, which stupidly, like looking back on it, I'm like, what the hell? But I did that for a bit, and I mean, it was only a few times, but then I finally like took the leap, and I was like, I'm not looking after myself anymore. So got all these tests done because I was so fatigued and had no energy. Started seeing Peter, the acupuncturist that Kristin recommended me to, and started doing just about anything that anyone was like recommending me to do. I was like, I'll do anything, I just need to feel better. And then I'm trying to think what happened next. Oh yeah, so I got these tests done, and I had all these bacterias and what are they called? Parasites, all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So went on cleanses for that and did all sorts of things. Like I couldn't even tell you half the things I did. I took so many supplements. And
you were taking so many homeopaths at one point in time.
Homeopaths, but not even just that. Like all the supplements I took. Like I think one point I was seeing I can't think what her role is called, but I was seeing this lady, and I was taking probably 30 to 40 pills a day. Wow. So I definitely think it helped, but it was a lot. And so then the stress of that then took over. So yeah, I got to the point where I was like, I actually need to do something else, because at this point I was just doing physical things. And I think that's actually when you recommended Audrey to me, who is a Reiki practitioner and mentor. And so I went to see her for some Reiki sessions, and she was like, why don't you come and do mentoring with me? And I was like, all right, cool. I'm willing to try anything. And honestly, I reckon that's probably where the real growth started for me. Like I was, you know, changing and shifting before that, but that was something really special for me. And like, I'd never done anything like that, and had someone, like, obviously I was paying her, but had someone fully be like, I'm here for you for a whole hour, listening to what you need, and also can give you insight, because she was psychic as well.
Yeah.
So it was amazing. And I feel like I did so much growth in that time, and yeah, I really started to feel good about myself, and then was like, oh, okay, I'm feeling like I'm finally taking control of the mental stuff. Like, what else can I do? Oh, actually, it was the other way around. So I was looking after the physical. So then I stepped in with the mental. And then ever since then, it's just, you know, been an up.
Just a little bit more and more.
Yeah. Gotten better.
It's taking steps up the ladder. Oh, Audrey's so amazing though. Like, she was such an activator for me and expander for me into like looking into my own spiritual awakening in a sense.
Yeah.
She's great for that. So thank you, Audrey.
Thank you. I'm so grateful for not only you and her, you know, just combined. But that was, the start of it, really. I mean, the middle start. There's so many little starts. That was the beginning of moving beyond the chronic
issues that you were facing, really.
Yeah. And then I'm trying to think of the timeline, but I think it was later that year, I actually came up to Noosa from Melbourne to visit someone that I was friends with, just for the weekend. And she was like, oh, I'm going to this free access bars day. Do you want to come? And I was like, yeah, cool. I'll try anything. Literally tried everything. And so we went, and it was at this beautiful house in Doonan. And there was so many people there giving free sessions. And my friend and I got a session at the same time. And I have this magical skill of falling asleep every time I'm horizontal with my eyes shut. So went into dreamland straight away, and got off the table, and I was like, oh, cool. I don't feel any different. That was weird. I don't know.
What even happened?
What even happened? No idea. Because she just put her hands on my head and I fell asleep. So I have no idea what happened. And I was like, oh, that was really weird. I don't know about that. And then went back to Melbourne, kept on with my life. And then all of a sudden I was just thinking about access bars. And I was like, oh, what was that thing that I did? And I had the woman who created the free event on Facebook from the event. And I just messaged her and I was like, hey, do you know anywhere? Actually, I think she had reached out to me. Yeah. Ashley is great like that. She reaches out to people. It's amazing. And just, you know, asked how you going and stuff. And I remember just being like, blah, and just like telling her what was happening for me. And I think I was struggling because I'd put on heaps of weight from trying to get all the energy from food. So I was struggling with body image issues again. And so she was just chatting to me and like wasn't really like trying to push anything on me. She just wanted to know like how I was going. And then we were chatting a bit more, and she said she was coming down to Melbourne to do a class. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll do that. Why not? And I'd done 5 sessions with this woman in Melbourne, really close together. And I remember like something had shifted for me, and I couldn't tell what it was, and I don't know how it happened, but I just knew that something had changed. And I was like, okay, I want to do more of this. And then did the class with Ashley, and it was like, holy shit, this is what I've been missing. So the class is just like, so it's almost just like acknowledging like, you're not fucking crazy. So I don't know if I can swear.
You can totally swear.
And it's just like, there's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. You don't need to be fixed. Yeah, you can improve. Like everyone can improve, but there's nothing wrong with you. Like you are perfect. It's just like stripping away all the other shit. So now that I know I can swear, I'm going to swear heaps.
Sorry for kids in cars.
Oh yeah, sorry. I'm not going to swear heaps. So that was really like, wow. That it was just like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. I could breathe a bit easier. And it was just so easy as well. Like I started studying kinesiology like differently to how you did it. I did little modules, short courses, and I loved it. I loved it so much. And I probably will go back one day and finish it. But I have had this story, or have maybe still, of finding it hard to retain information and study heaps. So what I loved about Access Bars is you just needed this chart that had the points on it, and that's all you did. And it was all about the other person's body actually just receiving that and doing with it what it needs to do.
Yeah.
And I just love that, because I was like, oh, it's something easy that changes so much so easily. And so I was just hooked after that. But I didn't actually do too much with it for a while. I did like a few like sessions on Friends and stuff when I was in Melbourne. And then when we moved up here, to the Sunshine Coast, yes. I did what's called the foundation class, which is a 4-day class where it's just like every topic that's in your life basically is covered. And it's all about like knocking down old foundations and building new ones of like who you want to be as you now. And that was just like mind-blowing. And that was when we first got up here. So after that I was like, holy shit, I need to do more of this. So I started doing more courses and classes, and then I became a facilitator, and here I am. I think that's everything.
I love it. So beautiful, that journey. And I have a few questions to expand on that, but I just want to reflect quickly on when you first, I remember being in the car with you, like driving like in Brunswick, and you were talking about, I think I'm going to study this thing, Access Bars, or do this Access Bars class. And it was funny because it was right around the time that I'd only just learned about what Access Bars is. And even I didn't quite grasp it, because I used to work in a clinic in Melbourne with other practitioners, and all of the practitioners there besides me did Access Bars. And I'd never heard of it before I worked there. So maybe you can tell us exactly what it is, just to explain, to give some context of what is Access Bars.
Yeah. I will not do well with the scientific version of it.
No, simple is best. Simple is best.
So the simplest explanation is it's like a delete button for all the files that aren't yours in your brain. Yeah. So if you say your brain's a computer, anything that you've picked up along the way from, parents, friends, society, like any traditions, anything like that, that's not actually who you are at your core, it just goes delete, 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 and gets rid of all that. So basically what happens in a session is, I mean, if you're me, you'll fall asleep and just enjoy the nice relaxing time, but you get up on the table, there's 32 points on the head. They each touched in different combinations. Thank you. For different times. And then really what happens when you get off the table is most people get off really feeling just relaxed and calm, peaceful. And then for me, it ripples out subtly in my life. So I'll all of a sudden be like, oh, I'm not doing that really bad habit that I used to do anymore. Like, how did I stop doing that? It just happened. Or like, oh, I don't think that thing anymore that was like negative. It just sort of like strips it away really subtly. I'm actually getting goosebumps talking about it, because it's amazing. And it's just soft and gentle, and I love it. It's amazing.
I feel like the gratitude and appreciation and love you have for this modality, just in you communicating it in that moment, like it makes me teary, like seeing you describe it. It's really beautiful.
I actually had one of those moments recently. I was doing some like website updates, and I wanted to put this video, I think it was from my website. Anyway, I was watching this video of a description of Access Bars, and it's got all the inspirational music on it, and all the different people talking about it. And I actually just like started crying like that. I was just so like, oh my God, that's right. It's just this amazing modality that like has so much power behind it with so much ease. Yeah. And I love how accessible it is for everyone. Like kids can do it. Old people can do it. Anyone can do it. People that don't have 5 fingers can do it. It's you can still do it with your hands. And there's actually, I think there was a video somewhere, it's a bit of a side note, but a video of people that had some sort of deformity on their hands, and they didn't have all their fingers, and some of them had like half a hand, and they were still doing it somehow. So they say it's not
So
about
cool.
intention. That's what the founders say, but I believe that it is absolutely
Everything with intention.
Yeah. So I had one of those moments, and because sometimes if I don't do clients or I don't have a swap or have a session myself for a while, I sort of go, access bars, whatever. And then I do it, or I see the video and it reignites that
the amazingness.
Really special.
So something that I noticed seeing the change in you, and I'd love to digress on this or talk through this a little bit. Two things.
Mm-hmm.
You had this face rash that you're experiencing that I'm pretty sure that you healed through the access bar stuff, correct?
It was actually through magic mushrooms.
Oh my gosh,
which I can talk about briefly. Because it's really a short story, but I was doing access bars a bit, but that was in Melbourne.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't getting too many sessions. I wasn't fully involved in it yet. I had learnt it, but there wasn't that. I wasn't using the other tools as well, because there's heaps of other tools. It's not just the
the bars.
touch.
So
that was a different thing.
Oh,
but
I love that.
Very
cool.
So
maybe we'll come back to it if we do.
Totally.
I'm sure, actually no, let's just do it, because I'm sure people are like, just tell me the story.
Teaser. Basically what happened is I just got this rash all over it was actually around my mouth, around sort of the lip. What do you call this?
Do you know what brought it on?
No, so that's the thing. So it just appeared, and it was only a little. It's
always body stuff for you, isn't it?
It's always, and which is what they say in Access is your greatest wrongness is your greatest strongness.
Yeah.
So it's what I've made so wrong. So my body is going to be what's your greatest so strong about me, and I feel like that's going to be I think everyone has the power to do this, but just to be in people's presence and then just receive the healing without me even intentionally doing it. I feel like it's going to be something like that.
Yeah.
So I'd created this rash on my face for some unknown reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I had tried doing a raw diet through medical medium, which it actually got rid of it around my mouth. But then it came up around my eyes, and it came back with a vengeance. So it was bizarre. It was sort of like a shingles / psoriasis thing, but it wasn't itchy, it didn't hurt, it was just red, and I actually forgot about it unless I looked in the mirror. And luckily I was at a point where I loved myself enough to not be self-conscious about it, because it's right on my eyes. So I was really grateful for that. But basically I'd been experimenting with magic mushrooms or psychedelic mushrooms. We'd had 2 or 3 trips before this one, and I had been going in with the intention of I want to figure out what's behind my neck problems or this and that, whatever, and would release in that healing session. And I just went in saying, what's behind this rash on my face? And basically it was just a really, really intense trip where I basically cried the whole time, and just really it was a pretty intense trip. I thought I was going to die for most of it, but I had my beautiful partner there talking me through it, keeping me semi-sane. And I just cried the whole time, and he actually noticed the rash disappearing before his eyes while I was crying. He was literally disappearing off my face. It was absolute magic.
All this emotion that was trapped within you.
I just had to let some stuff out, and then by the next afternoon it was completely gone.
That's so magic.
And it hasn't come back. So
it hasn't. That's
and now looking back with my mind of access consciousness stuff, is I realized how much I was feeling for everyone in the world. Because when I was crying, it wasn't just these things have happened to me, oh I'm crying this. It was a deep sob. It was I don't even know what this is, but it's the weight of the world was coming through me. It was really interesting.
Wow.
So
wow,
that's that story.
And so the reason I linked that with the next thing is because it's kind of both face related. And the other thing is, when we first moved up here, I think I said to you, I was like, Laura, your face looks so different.
Yes.
And so and then your answer was just so magical to me. I was like, wow, that's so cool. You said you've been doing all these clearings on not being other people. Through that experience, I could witness how your face had changed. Do you want to elaborate elaborate a little bit further? Because I find that so interesting.
Yeah. So Ashley, who I was talking about before, who had the free day, I'm good friends with her now, and she has changed so much as well. So it's cool because I don't notice it as much on me, but it's cool to see it. And also you and Alex have changed completely as well, as we were just talking about before. But yeah, so there's a technique similar to the bars on the head. It's a body process where you just put your hands on different parts of the body and you call in an energy called biomimetic and biomimetric mimicry. And it's where we have mimicked anyone in any sort of way. So we do it with personality, we do it physically, we do it mentally, all sorts of things. And there's multiple reasons why we do that. Some of them are because we see them doing that, and that's the way we think that it's meant to be done. Some of them are we don't understand why they're choosing it, so we take it on so we can understand them better. So we mostly do that with the family members. And the other one is we want to heal people, so we try to take it away from them. It doesn't do that though, but we take it on.
That's the most common one that comes up in kinesiology sessions for people, I think. Yeah,
so that's most people, because people are empathic, so they take it on. So you run this body process and it like gets rid of all the ways you mimic people. So most of it is mentally, I think, but there is the physical. Obviously, if you look at your family, generally you look like them. You have this sort of same physical attributes. Yep. And so I think it's a combination of that, but also doing the bars will help get rid of that as well, because it's in a sense getting rid of anything that's not yours. So I actually don't believe that we're meant to look like our families. I think we're just meant to be completely individual looking. But when we're born, and even before that, like when you're in the belly, obviously you can pick up on stuff. Maybe not obvious to people, but you can energetically. So yeah, I think when you're born, because babies are so aware, they see their parents or their family around them and they go, oh, that's how I'm meant to look, and they just create that. So yeah, I think the more you let go of other stuff and want to be yourself more, all that sort of stuff strips away and you become who you are more and look like the way you're meant to more.
So it's like this whole thing of the more that you release that mimicking of like characteristics, let's say, and those characteristics could be physical or they could be emotional or mental, that you actually get to like be more of just who you are, and however that it wants to express through you. And that could be in the gene expression that you still look in a way like your family, or it could be in something completely different.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So the shape-shifting is not done just yet.
Yeah. I mean, do you feel like you're going to continue changing, or do you feel like you've already?
Yeah, absolutely. I still have a lot of my dad in my jaw. Yeah. And me and my sister have that sort of same area as well, like the mouth area, which is interesting because I have a lot of issues with like expressing myself, and I also think that my voice isn't, I mean, we've had this conversation, but I think my voice isn't how it's meant to sound. And that's not just the like, oh, I hate how I sound, because it doesn't sound the same. Like when I hear it, I'm like, that's not right. There's something happening there. Yeah. So it's interesting that that's all sort of the area where I feel like I'm mimicking people the most.
And do you feel like you're still going through like healing dad wound stuff?
Oh, yeah. I mean, will we ever get over that?
Yeah, no. We've been talking about this
mum,
today.
Dad.
Yeah.
And I have a great relationship with my mum as well. So.
Yeah. You can have that and still have the wounding or the mimicry that's maybe impacting you in a perceived, maybe not so positive way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel good in myself. I feel great in myself, but I know that I will always strive to change and do better. So
we're here to have those lessons, aren't we? We're like souls in school.
Yeah.
At school. Yeah. So amazing. So I want to talk a little bit more about some of these body processes. People are like, what's a body process?
Yeah.
Like I remember when I was like, what is this? And there's all these like interesting language that's with access consciousness and access bars. So what would you call, like, obviously you said there's body processes you can do to get rid of the mimicry, and there's what are those body processes for everything?
There's so many. I did a 3-day body class. So you go and get a book with body processes in there. So it's basically just hands-on energy work. Yeah. And that book has, I think, 67 processes in it.
Okay.
And then when you do, there's an advanced class that you do, and you get another 100, I think.
Wow.
And then there's multiple like different classes you can do to get extras as well. So I actually am signed up to do one in December, so I'll get those extra ones. But
cool.
There's so many, and it's very hard to explain because I think they're mostly just for you and to do swaps with people. I don't think it's great to have clients coming for them unless it's like a specific one that's
because you got to do it a lot of times.
But more because they've got weird names and you can't explain them because they don't have explanations. So it's all just about the energy, because
trying to tap into the subconscious more so rather than like letting your conscious mind like decipher what it means.
So it's like they've given you this weird name. I can't even think of one because they're so weird. I wish I had the book here.
There was one that's like sex or something like that. I don't know. There was one that you were telling me about, and it's like the name of it was like something, like something weird, like sex and something, and it was like, but you couldn't tell people what that meant, but it was actually for something else.
Oh, sex and fat.
Yes,
but they stand for things.
I
was like, what? So you think it's about like sex and being fat, but it's actually not. And and sex for them means receiving. It doesn't necessarily mean copulation, like penetration. It's very difficult to, and I don't ever give clients these body processes. I do them on friends and stuff when I'm chatting to them, but they've got a weird name, and then there's no description. It just tells you where to put your hands, and it's so that the body can just decide what to do with them rather than you trying to understand it.
So this is like something better that would be better to come and learn at a class, so you could do it for yourself rather than going to a practitioner to find, like, you go to the practitioner for the access bars, but then the body processes, you go to the classes to learn them so you could do them on yourself and your family and friends.
And find people to swap with as well. Because honestly, it seems almost too hard to try and like explain. Like if you're really open and willing, then great, they're probably good for you to go and see someone and get them. But people want to know what you're giving them. So it doesn't seem
so there's like a level of it. It sounds like it's trying to bypass the left brain.
It's absolutely trying to bypass that,
which is good. We need to bypass the left brain, but it also sounds like there's a level of you'll receive whatever you're meant to receive.
Exactly. And what you're ready to receive, willing to receive.
So it's like this willing and able kind of thing. There's a lot of language in access consciousness, which is like trying to bring more empowerment through, correct?
So that's what it is. So it's purely like putting the into you, like instead of asking questions and being like, oh, what do I do if this happens or this happens or this happens, it's like, what do you know? So in sessions a lot, like people will talk to me and stuff, but I'll be like, oh, what do you know about this, or what do you think about this, or like it's really,
what does it feel like to you?
It's getting them to understand that they know, and not just about them, but they know everything. They know anything that they want to know. So it's really empowering people to like take back that power of like, I know what my body needs, and I know what I need to do, or what I want to do, or whatever, everything. It's
like, it's that again, almost bypassing the left brain to remind the body that like it is one with God or the universe or whatever, creator connection piece. Because, and that's like, it's funny that something that popped into my head when you came across access consciousness or access bars around the same time that it came into my field, it's like the more that like those synchronicities happen, like with you and your friends, like all coming in at the same time, it's just a reminder, like this knowledge is like all here to be accessible by everyone. And so I always find that interesting, like, when you get into something new, but then like 3 of your friends have got into that same thing at the same time. It's like, it's like the 100th monkey thing that Sean and I were talking about in the podcast a few episodes back, whereas like once 100 people know that thing, then everyone knows it, and then it's in everyone's field. And so it's for that, like even the way that it popped up for me or like for you, it kind of sounds like in a similar way. And I just think that that's so cool. And if we can look at that like deeper lens or bigger perspective of things like this, it just creates so much power, because you do know, you know more about yourself, obviously,
Yeah.
but also more about the universe than we can even like grasp. It's just that we have amnesia coming into this life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. I want to talk through the thing I have on my fridge, which is all of life comes to me
with ease, joy, and glory.
Ease, joy, and glory.
Yeah. So basically, access consciousness is made up of a bunch of like phrases and questions.
Yeah.
So that is their like main thing that they say, and it's like they say to repeat it 10 times in the morning and 10 times at night, and watch how your life can change.
All right, I need to do that.
Yeah. So it's not about like all of life is joyful and easy and glory. It's about all of life, whatever it is, whether it be grief, whether it be pain, whether it be hardship, whether it be happiness, whether it be joy, like whatever it is comes to you with ease, joy, and glory. So whatever happens, like let's say your partner dies, like you handle that then with ease, joy, and glory. Doesn't mean that you're ecstatic that they're dead. It means that it's not like this huge like thing for you. It's just like, okay,
the experience becomes
So I really like it because it just brings this like like life is easy, joyful, and glorious, but we often don't experience it like that and choose it like that because we don't experience it like that because we don't choose that. So that's one of their awesome
another phrase that we say is, how could it get any better than this?
Exactly.
This is the one that became like this thing in our friendship group, and was just like
that was awesome.
So tell us why you would say that and what you would say.
Okay, so that is probably my favorite one and the one I use the most. So it's all of the questions are designed to ask the universe for expansion, for awareness, for clarity, anything like that. So we're asking the universe, how does it get any better than this? So right now we could use it. How does it get any better?
How does it get any better than this?
You know, two good friends are doing this podcast together, talking about this awesome stuff. And then it's like, universe, show me how it gets better.
Yeah.
So,
but you can do it with anything.
Anything. So you can do it with when, you know, quote unquote bad things happen. So let's say you lost your wallet. How does it get any better than this? So it's like, universe, show me how it gets better. So it's sort of like a test to the universe. It's like, because the universe wants to help you. The universe wants to provide for you. And when you give it little like tests like that, it's like, oh yeah, I'll show you. It's like wants to show off a little bit, I reckon.
Yeah. It's like, oh like, yeah, okay, I'll give you something good.
Yeah. So it's been a really cool one. And I haven't really noticed like big things come up or anything, but when I use it, but when I do use it regularly, I feel like things do go in sort of like a better,
it feels like like life happens in alignment after you say that, is what it feels like to me when we play with it. And it's like so fun and playful. It's so bringing that gratitude in. It's like, wow, this is amazing. How can I bring gratitude? How does it get any better than this?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's I really have enjoyed using that as well. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah, my pleasure. It was really funny. I think I told Anya, and I told you as well, but then Anya spread it with those other groups, and then it came back, and and
then we're all doing it.
It's on the post and everything. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Laura.
I'm so happy.
I'm just thinking of other ones because I love this language piece with the access consciousness stuff. So there's like the destroy, uncreate.
Oh yeah.
What is that one?
It depends how you're using it, but it's like, I haven't even used that for so long.
When I was talking to you earlier today, I was like, are you going to use the destroy, uncreate? And something.
I think it's just, you just say destroy and uncreate all that. And then you say the clearing statement. Which is right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds, which is basically, it's made to bypass the brain. So it's made to, the logical mind, I should say. So it's a bunch of words that have a meaning. If you come to do, actually you can look it up on www.theclearingstatement.com. And I definitely think it goes into what it all means. But the best part about it is you don't need to know what it means. It's just like a magical wand, and it's just about the energy of it. So the destroy and uncreate thing. So if I was in a session or something was coming up for me or a friend,
like a belief system or like a pattern, like me saying today, like, oh my gosh, I realize I have this fear and a belief system in this fear. And then you could use the clearing statement.
Yeah. So I'd say everything, all that is destroy and uncreate it all, right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, bows and beyonds. And then, you know, it's not like, oh, that's it, everything's fixed. It's an energetic clearing, but you still need to take charge of your life and choose differently. So that's what I love about Access. It helps you clear things that you're stuck on, but you still need to choose. Yeah. So there's actually some facilitators now that don't even use the clearing statement. They don't use questions. They don't use anything. And they go, just choose it. Like they're hard asses. I'm not like that. But so people come to them like, oh, I have this money issue and blah, blah, blah. They're like, just choose differently. Yeah. Like you can choose. Yeah. So that's also why I love Access. It's like, it's all about you choose your life, you create your life. Like, what do you want to choose? Everything that you have in your life, including friends, items in your house, where you live, people you interact with, you create based on how you feel inside. So if you're not liking something in your life, you have the power to choose and change. Choose differently and change. So I love that. It's really empowering you to take control of your life and to take responsibility and know, like, you've picked up other people's shit throughout your life. That's okay. It's not yours. You can let go of it, but take responsibility that you did that and choose to not do that anymore. Like,
love it.
Yeah.
So good. All right. Another one is let your allowance, awareness exceed your allowance.
Such a good one. Thanks for the reminder.
Yeah.
So what would it take for my allowance to exceed my awareness? So that's another cool one. What would it take? So
that was the other one I was going to talk about.
You can add anything onto that. So what would it take for me to win $1 million, or what would it take for me to get this rental that I'm trying to get, or
what would it take for me to have a full client book? What would it take to get the job of my dreams? Like,
absolutely. Literally anything. What would it take for me to eat a yummy mango later today? Like, whatever
you can have one.
I've got some at home. I was just thinking they've got delicious mangoes already up here. It's so good.
I know, we're so lucky.
Yeah. So once again, it's a test of the universe. It's like, what would it take for this to show up? Yeah. Then it's hard because not hard. Then it's like a practice to see what thoughts come up. Yeah. Because, you know, if you're asking for $1 million, what would it take for $1 million to show up in my account tomorrow? Then listen to your head and go, oh, those are all the patterns, or those are all the beliefs that are coming up. It's like, well, how would you do that? What would that look like? How, you know, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And so then it's about catching those beliefs, like asking, is this even mine? And if it's not, which it's most likely not going to be, you just let it go. And once again, there's clearings to help that, but you just have to choose to let it go. Yeah. So I mean, that's a great exercise to, like, look at what you want in life, ask for it, what would it take for this to show up, and then listen to what's coming up and really, like, take responsibility and be like, no, I don't want to, like, have that anymore. I'm choosing to let go of it. And, you know, everyone will have their own ways of letting go of it. You can use the clearing statement if you want. But yeah, that's a great one.
I'm sure that you do that sort of stuff with people in your mentoring sessions as well.
Yes, I do. I give almost too much homework.
Oh, me too.
Too many questions.
I'm always giving so much. I've started calling it integration instead of homework.
Yeah. I normally call it home play, but
home play. I like it. Yeah. So let's go back to let your allowance exceed your awareness.
So this is a big one for me that's been coming up lately, and I actually have forgotten about it. So thank you very much. So I was, as an example from my life, I was getting really frustrated at people more than usual. And I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, am I an arsehole?
You're struggling to feel compassion for people in moments. Is kind of how I perceived it when you first told me.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just like judging people. That's what it felt like. I felt like I was just being this judgmental biatch. And
you're so not that, though.
I know.
It's
no,
so
that's
funny.
The thing. So, oh God.
But we judge and we put that pressure on ourselves internally, don't we? Yeah. Well,
just on a quick digress, when you notice yourself judging people, I'm using air quotation marks there, I want to get you to ask, like, am I judging people or are they judging themselves? And I'm aware of it.
Yeah.
So because if you didn't already know, we're all very aware beings and connected.
Interconnected.
Yes. So you will pick up on people's stuff. So if you're walking down the street and like you're looking at someone and go, oh, that dress looks horrible on that person, chances are they think that about themselves and you're just picking up on it and then buying it as yours. So that's what we do. We feel something or hear something in our bodies and then we go, well, I'm hearing that and feeling it, so it must be mine. So that's a good little tool to just question if that's even your judgment. Mm-hmm. So I was doing that when I was feeling judgmental, but I love to make myself wrong, like I'm sure a lot of you do. So yeah, was claiming it was mine. But I was reading this book. I'm trying to think which book it was. It was an Access Consciousness book. It was 10 Keys to Total Freedom. Thank you. Kristin has the best memory. She's like telling me all this stuff. I'm like, whoa, I don't remember that.
I just like remember moments like, like
we were camping as well. So it was like nice setting.
Yeah, we were talking about our books that we're reading.
Yeah.
But I do have a fairly good memory.
You have a very good memory. I get so like awkward sometimes because I'm like, oh, I don't remember that thing she's told me. You remember everything.
I never mind though.
That's great. So yeah, I was reading this book and I got to this part where they were talking about Gary, the founder of Access Consciousness, and the co-founder Dane. And Gary was getting really angry at everyone and shitty with everyone on a plane. And Dane had the awareness of his awareness was exceeding his allowance. And Dane just asked the question, is your awareness exceeding your allowance right now? And Gary was just like, oh, okay, that's what it is. So what that means is he was aware of, for instance, everyone on the plane and everything that they were choosing that wasn't working for them, or that they were judging themselves for, or that they hated about themselves, whatever, or that they were just doing stupid things about, right? In that moment. Yeah. So the question is, what would it take for my allowance to exceed my awareness? Means like you're still going to have that awareness, but your allowance is going to be so much more than that you see it and you're aware of it, but it doesn't bother you because you're just like, that's their choice. So that's what that means.
I love that one. And I think that I remember how activating that was when you read that for you. And I just feel like so many people could really benefit from having that context of sometimes it's hard to like put things into language to make sense for your brain. Whereas I feel like access bars and access consciousness, the way that you explain it, like it makes so much sense for you, definitely. And for when I hear you explain it, like I really relate to it. But maybe like, just having that different context of something. Whereas for me, like I would say, oh, that's like, how can I have more compassion? But that's just, but my brain can like comprehend that and understand that. But it just, the slight shift in the context of that just makes it more accessible for more people. And I just really like that there's like this, it just taps into like a new wavelength of language for people in different ways.
Well, it's funny that you say compassion because in Access they talk about compassion.
Yeah, what do they decipher of compassion?
They call it a distracting implant.
Yeah.
So, and it's not to say that the version of your compassion is like this, and it's because they could call love a distracting implant, which I believe that there's a version of love here on earth that they're not talking about. It's more of this reality's version. But these distracting implants is like anything to distract you from who you are as at your core. So let's see if I can remember some. It's like hate, shame, guilt. I can't. Let's stop there because that's all I can remember at the moment. But it's all these things that don't feel good. Obviously, compassion and love, you think, oh, that's nice and feels good. But the way that they look at compassion is it's a judgment of someone else's experience and saying it's worse than what you know or what you've got. So while yes, compassion is like seems like such a beautiful thing, and I think your version of compassion is probably not the same as what they're saying, but it's like you're looking at, so let's say you see a homeless person on the street and you go, I've got compassion for them, really feel for what they're going through. You're putting a judgment on what they're experiencing as a bad thing. So
you're putting it on different levels than what the person is.
Yeah, exactly. So you might not be like rich or anything, you might just be like someone who goes week to week with their money or whatever, but you're still viewing that as like lesser than or struggling or whatever. And access is all about no judgment.
Yeah.
So that's where the allowance thing comes in. It's like everything just is.
Yeah.
And everything's perfect the way it is. And there's no good or bad. There's no right or wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where that comes into the clearing statement. It's clearing all of the good and bads, right and wrongs we have of things.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I see myself or catch myself feeling bad for someone or having that empathy or the compassion or going, oh, poor that person, or for me it's mostly with animals. Not mostly, I care about humans as well.
We know you love animals, Laura.
I get this like heart-wrenching like, oh, that poor animal. Then I go, well, how am I to know that animal, like that animal's chosen that as well?
Yeah.
That person's chosen that for a reason.
Yeah.
It's part of their experience.
Yeah.
And who am I to put right or wrong on that?
Yeah.
So that's it. That's what they talk about with compassion. So yeah, I think you can still like care about people.
Definitely.
But
maybe that's also not true compassion, what they're talking about.
Exactly.
In a sense.
That's what I mean by this reality.
Like it's like for me when I look at compassion, and I 100% agree with what you're saying, it's actually like I can actually understand that person more.
Yeah.
Like I understand what they're experiencing even if I couldn't understand it before. So it's really like for me, in my language, it makes exact sense to what you're saying about the allowance exceed your awareness.
Yeah.
But I love that there's just a new context for explanation there. And I love that, that whole experience of like not putting yourself above anyone else, and how can we just have more understanding and know that everyone's made the choices at the end of the day.
Well, and it's funny because it can be a bit conflicting, the things that they say sometimes in a good way. It's not like, oh, what the hell? But they say, you know, don't look at others as like, so actually it's not that you're looking down on people. It's about just not having a judgment of what they're doing, because they're all about like being the superior person and not in a sense of like, I'm better than you, but just being superior, like being this amazing being that you are, you know? So the language can get a bit confusing when you first start, because you're like, they're saying to be a superior bitch, but then they're also saying don't judge other people. You know, you're just like, what?
Yeah.
So, but they also have an interesting thought on the word understanding as well.
Okay, here we go.
So I'm dissecting it with the language, because it's really fascinating once you like look into it, because while you might not mean what understand means, that's what the word means. At least this is what they say, is, you know, take it as you want. Yeah. But there's other words like want. When people say I want this, they think, oh, I'm going to call that in, but actually before 1946 in dictionaries, want means lack. So it's like saying, if you say I want money, it's like I lack money. So language is really important.
Yeah, because I was reading that in the book that you gave me. Yeah.
So even though we don't mean that, obviously we don't want to say
there could be a
money.
Frequency of that still being carried in a different way, even if our intention is not behind it.
So understand, they say, you know, to understand someone, you have to stand under their opinion. Yeah. So, or their belief or whatever. So, you know, you can quite easily then take that on as yours and align with that. Yeah. So I'm not saying don't say understand, because I say that all the time, but it's about
just
changing
understanding.
Understanding it. It's about changing the energy of what you're saying. So I still use want and all the other words like need and try and all that sort of stuff, but when I use it, it's not with the same energy. And if it is, then obviously I look at it,
because you've got the awareness of it.
Yeah. So it's not like you have to change every word that you use, because a lot of the words in this day and age, you can't really talk without them, because people like don't understand you, or you don't know what words to use instead. So it's just about being aware of what they actually mean.
And I think depending on where your frequency or your energy is at in any given moment, then the language that comes out of you throws out other frequencies out into the world, and then that's what then can flow on into these different meanings of things as well. So
absolutely.
That's really cool. So cool. I think I might ask you the questions to finish off. I'm sure we could talk about stuff for ages.
Yeah, but we've probably been going for
I don't have my watch on today. Okay. I already know the answers to some of these things, but we'd love to have a play, and then we'll pull an oracle card. Okay. What is your sun sign and your moon and your rising?
You might have to answer this for me. I actually don't think I know my
Well, your sun is Pisces.
My sun's Pisces. My moon is
Aquarius. Yeah.
And my rising,
if you don't know, it's okay.
I don't think
Is it Gemini?
If I say yes, I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know. Yeah, I can't remember. We'll have to double check.
We'll put it, yes.
And you're and what's your human design?
I'm a manifestor generator.
With an emotional, like, what are you driven by?
Yeah, emotional, and I'm trying to think. I've only just started to look into that. Emotionally
led or whatever it is. Yeah, no, I'm emotionally led too.
Yeah.
What's your favorite fruit?
Oh, mango popped into my head. I don't know if it's because they're in the house.
Yes.
It definitely is. I could eat them all day.
Yeah. Would you choose the ocean or the forest?
Well, that's a good question, because I know this is meant to be like a quick, but ocean at the moment, has been my whole life. And lately I've been really feeling called to the forest. I think it's mostly because if you're by the ocean here, you're surrounded by houses and people. So the forest is like more enticing for me at the moment, because I want to I want to get out there and connect with people, but I want to have like a secluded space where I can just be naked all the time, basically.
Well, we can be naked all the time, because the nature strip out here is not appropriate, and the beaches here, people don't like it.
There's a lot of old judgmental people around here.
Not saying we're running around the beach naked, but to have a topless session at the beach, you want to be able to feel comfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
That. If you could choose a life experience again to relive, what would you pick?
I mean, I heard India, but I don't think that's 100% true, because I wouldn't probably be where I am.
We had a lot of fun in India together, though.
Totally. We had fun, but more like the So the life experience, I honestly don't think I would want to relive anything in a sense of like everything's been perfect. But
like, what would you want to experience again, like, and it be the exact same way?
Ah, right.
Like, sorry, that's okay. I'm glad we clarified.
Well, see, this is where the bad memory doesn't come in handy.
What about, like, I'm sure I know one that we could say. Okay. Maybe this is where India came in, because we saw so many beautiful dogs, and experience that day, we were like walking in like Dharamshala, and there was like a couple dogs, and then all of a sudden I turned around and Laura had like 4 dogs around her, and she's just like, with her face like just look in such pure bliss and glory, let's say. And so maybe that was why India came in your mind, because I have a picture of you in that moment, and that's just like such, like, I don't know, that needs to go in a frame. It was just so epic. It's just so Laura to have all the dogs around her, and then just like 4 of them there, like, hi, we're all here.
Oh my god, we actually had one follow us, I think, on the same day. It was like with a walk, but there was like goats and cows and all
so many animal experiences.
I don't know.
Have you had any moments with Van you'd love to relive?
It was funny that you say that, because as I was saying, I don't know, I was thinking, I guess when he asked me out, that was a really nice experience.
Yeah, that's something to relive. I love that. We relive those in our memories regularly. Yeah. Is there a plant or a flower that you are drawn to or working with a lot, or you like working with a lot?
I mean, a plant like that I like just as a green plant is an elephant ear. Not just because I love elephants, but I find them to be really beautiful, especially like that one that I know it wasn't an elephant ear, but that one that was like an elephant ear that we saw that day, and it was huge. I don't even know, like 2 or 3 meters.
Oh, they're really humongous ones. Yeah. Was that in a shopping center somewhere?
It was above Hannah's. And
work.
And
the foundation.
And then, like, as far as plant medicine, I mean, I love cacao. I haven't actually had ceremonial cacao for a while, but I was working with that for a while. And then psychedelic mushrooms, like, even though I'm too scared to go back, they've given me such beautiful healing time. So,
amazing. Yeah. What's your favorite crystal?
I mean, amethyst.
I knew, that's what I thought you were going to say.
Here I'm trying to think, like, it's la la la.
That's what I was saying. I think I already know the answers to these questions. And what would you say your spirit animal is, or an animal that you connect with?
I mean, dogs.
Sure. But you have this thing with elephants too. Yeah. Well, you always did.
The elephant, do we have time to expand on this?
Of course.
Quickly. The elephant thing, I think, was something that I like created to have something that I was obsessed with.
Yeah.
So I had a similar thing with foot phobias, and I like told myself that I had a foot phobia, and so when people would put their feet near me, I'd be like, oh no, and it was I think it was like this attention thing or something like that,
or trying to create something for you, considering you had so much mimicry going on. Maybe
something like that. I think I just wanted to seem interesting in a way or something. So the foot phobia I worked through, and I mean didn't even have to work through, I just realized that I'd made it up. And I sort of feel the same way with elephants. But in saying that, when I've seen them, I feel very drawn to them, and you know, like they're beautiful, and I don't think that I don't love them, but it's interesting looking at that.
It brings emotion through.
So I definitely think elephants are like a favorite animal of mine. But as far as like a spirit animal, I mean, probably like a cheetah or something, or like a lion. A lioness. Yeah,
let's be lionesses together.
Yeah. Is that yours?
No, I've been connecting with the lioness lately. Maybe just after Lionsgate. That's been happening. Right. I had a lioness come up in my session yesterday with Sean.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. That was my light version of myself, like embodied.
That's really interesting, because I've never said a lion as my spirit animal. Like it just came out. I was like, what?
Are you just picking up me?
I'm just trying to be Kristin.
All right, we're going to shuffle some cards. We're pulling cards from The Flowers of the Night Oracle by Sherilyn Darcy.
Normally I go, not to say that these aren't beautiful, but normally I go by like what cards look like, for like really, really like eye-catching ones. And I just like put my hand on the shelf. I was like, top, no, bottom, yes. And I was like moving my hand left and right, and there's just like this massive pull all the way to the end, and I just grabbed it, and I was like, oh, that's so interesting, because normally I would just pick by what it looks like. That's
really interesting as well, because these cards, it's a black deck, and it's supposed to be flowers of the night, so it's like shadow aspects, and we just spoke about the lioness being the light aspect. Oh my gosh. So I wonder what the shadow. Yeah, just one. And then you can tell us what it is, and I'll read it.
Creation, night blooming daylily.
Well, that's perfect after all the access bars consciousness
talk.
Creation. So the night blooming daylily was one of the very first lilies used in cultivation of new lilies. It is found in China and throughout Europe. The plant grows in clumps of leaves, which can attain 75 centimeters in height. That's pretty tall for a flower. Cool. Flowers are lemon yellow in color and have a very sweet fragrance. They're used as a Chinese and Japanese cooking ingredient, and the flowers are trumpet shaped and up to 10 centimeters wide, and they last no more than 24 hours. Creation. Fertility and the abundant growth of what you have already begun is very strongly connected with this flower. You could find new enthusiasm and favorable situations occurring, and even an inflow of resources and material wealth. Someone's birth or the news of such a wonderful occasion could be near. Creativity in all its forms, including the creation of partnerships, friendships, romantic matchings, as well as physical, artistic, and creative pursuits, are all inspired under the energy of night blooming daylily. Be warned to not get carried away with external appearances and status. Ego needs to be checked, and there actually is the chance of missing out on something really valuable because of a fixation on perfection or outer appearances.
No.
I feel like everyone needs to hear this. Totally. So the keywords are creation, creativity, birth, beginnings, luck, abundance, improvement, conceit, and narcissism. And the affirmation
Love
is...
that they just throw narcissism in.
Yeah, it's the light and the shadow.
No, it's just funny.
The affirmation is, I create and grow in abundance and joy.
I create and grow in abundance and joy.
So obviously all of us in some way are needing to hear this today, but it feels so perfect for the conversation that we've had. But there's also the fertility aspect coming through was the other thing that I didn't end up asking you, is that you have this like processes that you've created, or...
I haven't created processes. I have a class that I actually cancelled it because it was telling me it was for later, but you know,
it's in the works.
It's in the works, but I also would happily do sessions on this as well, because it's something that's so needed in this world. But I mean, I could work with people who were having trouble getting pregnant, I think, but mostly it was for people who were looking to get pregnant or were already pregnant, bringing up all their beliefs that they have around pregnancy, around birth, because I believe, and I haven't had a child, so this is purely based on my inner knowing of, I believe that the human body, the woman's body, can like do anything without pain.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that it can be uncomfortable maybe sometimes, and like, what's the word?
The resistance can bring discomfort.
But I think that it should be mostly ease, and that when you're giving birth, it should be like more of an expansive thing rather than a contractive, like this is hurting. I think it should be quite euphoric. And I think that even when people are in pain, they still have that side, but I think that it actually should be only euphoric. So the class was designed to get everyone together, bring up all their beliefs that they've got and clear them. Plus also give you tools that you can use in your everyday life when other things come up. So yeah, happy to do sessions on that, but also that hopefully that class will pop up again sometime soon.
Yeah, and it's exciting to see that fertility always and creation always comes up so strongly for you, and what that will maybe look like in a year's time if we reconnect on these things, or like reflect on the podcast, or you come back or whatever it is.
Yeah,
maybe before then, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see these themes coming through as we evolve into more of a different phase of our lives as well. But I was just going to wrap it up by saying that obviously you have a lot of beautiful, amazing tools that people have been able to work with through this. So thank you for offering that so freely.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And if people want to work with you one-on-one or come to your classes, you do classes in Melbourne and Sunshine Coast. And
I'm hoping to be able to do classes in Melbourne once I can get down there. Your sister's actually meant to be coming to one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so going down to Melbourne as soon as I can, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen in the close future. But yes, I would like to go down to Melbourne, maybe once every few months to do a class. But yeah, teach up on the Sunshine Coast. But most of my stuff that I would love to do is available online. So I do like facilitation coaching sessions. So that's all just done over Zoom, and it's recorded. You get heaps of tools.
Yeah.
And yes, so that's available to anyone. And then I also offer access bars in person,
which is amazing.
It's amazing. And I am learning EFT, so I'll be able to offer that soon, which can be done in person or online, which is really exciting. Yeah,
I'll have to have get you back for a conversation about EFT once you're fully embodied in that space.
Yeah, it's a year course, but I think I'll be able to do it a bit quicker than that because I don't have too much going on at the moment.
I feel like it goes really well with the access consciousness and like the coaching and all that sort of stuff as well.
And the course is actually like a coaching course as well, so even though I call myself a coach, I haven't done any like qualifications. I just done that's not true at all. I've done all the access consciousness stuff, but in this reality is coaching, it's totally different. So it'd be cool to have the two sides of coaching together, so I'm really excited about that. It's gonna be good.
Amazing. I've loved that. That's been such a next stepping stone for you. And so people can find you at lauraarmstrong.com,
lauraarmstrong.com.au. And my Instagram is laura.r.armstrong.
I'll put everything in the show notes anyway.
And then my Facebook is Laura Armstrong CF.
Amazing.
Which means certified facilitator.
Yeah. Well, this has been a beautiful conversation about access consciousness, about your story. Thank you for being so open. And how does it get any better than this?
How does it get any better than this? Oh, what a way to finish.
Yeah. All right. Thanks.
Bye.